Greg Rayburn, thanks very much for your time tonight.
You're welcome.
So we've just seen this bill fail, and earlier in the day you were saying that this is not a game and there really will be layoffs, and the notices, I understand, are either have gone out or will be going out now.
They've already gone out.
They have, okay. So how much time do people have, and exactly what kind of impact will that be?
Well, we close at midnight tonight. We have a little over 1,000 employees as of today. Quite frankly, the note I got just before I came on air was that many of them have already left. They were watching in our branches, they were watching in our headquarters the Senate vote, and I'm not sure we're even going to have a skeleton crew to get to midnight because they know they're out of work.
What, so they just walked right off the job, you're saying?
Yes, we've had a number of people leave.
Wow. Well, you also had about 40 people here today lobbying. You were also lobbying today. Can you tell us a little bit behind the scenes what went on?
I don't know if I would refer to me as someone who can lobby. Obviously, whatever I was doing wasn't effective enough. We just did what we've continued to try to do, which is to get the Senate to understand the realities in the bill, the realities of what we're asking for, the fact that this is not a bailout, and what the impact's going to be on people's lives. And the union representatives came here on their own time today. They were not paid. They asked permission to come up, but on their own nickel, because they wanted to put a human face on what's going to occur to those 1,000 people for the Senate. Obviously, that wasn't enough for the Senate.
So you were in the chamber for the debate?
I was in the chamber for part of, I guess, I don't know that I would call it a debate. I was in there for the vote, for part of the voting.
Okay. So Senator Lanza, who is a Staten Island Republican and has put forward this bill that he says is a compromise that also includes the suburban and regional OTBs, said, and I'm going to quote him here, "There's no reason for you to pull the plug, no legal reason, no actual reason for that to happen. That's a bunch of baloney. So let's sit down, my friends across the aisle, and get it right." What's your response to that?
Well, I wish I knew where he was getting his information, because it couldn't be further from the truth. We've been very consistent. We've shared all of our information. We shared our financials not only with the people involved in the Senate, we shared them with the Assembly, we shared them with the Racing and Wagering Board, who is an oversight board, who also concluded that we will be out of unrestricted cash, would have been as of last Friday. The only reason we lasted until today was we didn't pay rent and we didn't pay the tracts on the 1st of December. That allowed us to pay a $1.5 million payroll last Friday, but we're out of cash. So, I don't know, what Mr. Lanza's business experience is, but mine, after 28 years of being in the restructuring business, is that when you're out of cash, you close.
Okay, what, for my purposes and the purposes of our viewers, who of course are upstate from Buffalo to the Hudson Valley, I'm sure people would like to know, okay, we would like to see some of the upstate OTVs get some assistance. Why can that not be a part of this bill?
I think there are a number of reasons for that, and you really have to consider, how we got where we are today. I'm here because New York City OTB is in bankruptcy. They filed bankruptcy a year ago, and they've been working through that time to come to some agreement with their constituents. Their constituents are the unions and the tracts. I got on board in July. We worked very hard, but in spite of working hard, it took us about 4 months to come up with an agreement that all of the tracts and the unions would support. For the system OTBs to come in at the last minute and say, we want to get those benefits, but we're not willing to do anything for them, we just want them because you got them. Well, look, they're not in bankruptcy. They don't have agreement with the tracts. They were effectively asking the Senate to, do something legislatively to the tracts. Well, that's an economic damage to the tracts. That means I don't have a deal. So, I'm not saying that the Senate or the Senate Republicans or the legislature as a whole couldn't deal with the system OTBs in January. Quite frankly, they could do that easily. That's what we recommended when all of this sort of came up. But I think at this point it became a political issue, and that's unfortunate because a lot of people's lives will be damaged, and it'll be a pretty dark day today for the state of racing in New York. Okay,
what would the impact be going forward on the state of racing as a whole? For example, Saratoga, if you will. Of course, they're not racing right now at Saratoga, but they will be in the summer.
Well, I think that this will have a huge negative impact on NYRA. I don't think NYRA will have a choice but to come back to the state for additional funding, because the shortfall that's going to get created by our going out of business is going to affect them. It's going to affect every other track in a negative way. So you'll have a number of tracks that will go under. The thoroughbred breeders estimate that this will be an immediate 40% hit to the breeding fund, so you're going to have a lot of farms go out of business, out of the breeding business. You're going to have thousands of jobs lost.
But what about the harness tracks weren't so big on this plan?
Well, you know, you're still going to lose the handle that comes through New York City OTB, and much of it will not be recouped, and that will impact the harness tracks. The harness tracks have VLTs, so they have something there to offset some of that, but it's still going to have a negative impact on those tracks as well.
Okay, so here's the question. Can you actually close down your operation and then reopen it? Because we heard Senator Skelos today.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Can you close down tonight at midnight and then reopen it? Because we heard Senator Skelos today say that he feels like we've been here before, there have been deadlines before, and the deadlines have been extended, and and then things are okay at the end.
Well, I think it's not like flipping a light switch. Obviously, if you close the ADW, which we'll do tonight, it's very hard to assume that you can go any manner of time at all and then reopen it, because customers withdraw their funds from the accounts and they go away. They go elsewhere. And there are lots of competing telephone internet wagering businesses to compete for their business. Much of them are based out of state and compete in New York. You could close the parlors maybe for a couple of days and then reopen and hope that a lot of people came back. But realistically, you can't close for any length of time and expect to reopen.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for joining us, Greg Rayburn, President of the OTB.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Pardon me, I just wanted to thank you for joining us. We are unfortunately out of time.
Okay, yeah, thank you.